Hello, and welcome to another episode of Some of Our Parts, the podcast where two friends talk about the movies that have added up to make us who we are. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Jim. So, Lindsay, what movie did you pick for us this week?
Well, I dove back into my childhood once again. We are taking a break from teenage girl movies. I decided to go another direction. This is a movie that I think stars an actor that was like on a real run in the mid 90s of movies that I thought were hilarious. I think that like lines from this movie and deliveries still like live in my brain. And I think also this is a movie that in some ways has not aged well. So I think it's interesting to look back at for that reason. So I chose the 1994 film Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Yes.
I'm going to, probably out you as far as your age. So I'm guessing you did not see this at the movie theater since you were all of 3 or 4 years old when it came out.
Correct. I am pretty sure I did not. I think that this was a blockbuster uh
Gotcha.
pick for me and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
As I've talked about, I mostly watched movies with my dad growing up, especially like comedies. That's a favorite of my dad and a favorite of mine. Comedies, dramas, and musicals are
Okay.
like the movies we would watch, and like football movies, obviously. But this one, well, this is tangentially a football movie, a little bit of a football movie,
Well, I was going to say
football related.
there is a crossover. I think, don't
Yes.
you? Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, most
So
definitely.
yeah, this was definitely one that we would rent from Blockbuster. We would watch when it came on TV. Maybe at some point we owned it. I'm not 100% sure on that. Trying to picture our like VHS cabinet, but yeah, this was one definitely that we watched when I was a little bit older, I think. Still a kid, probably still a little young for some of the content, but certainly it went over my head.
Pretty much, yeah. I was going to say, but this I remember the movie coming out, and I remember it very successful,
Hmm.
and did launch the sequel.
Yes.
But Jim
Problematic in
Carrey,
different ways.
yeah, but yeah, you're right. Jim Carrey was a hot ticket back then, so there were a lot
Yeah.
of movies that he was in that it did very well at the box office.
Yeah, and I mean,
They,
I think you had like this, you had then The Mask, Liar Liar,
Bruce
uh
Almighty.
yeah, Bruce Almighty a little bit later.
Hmm.
And then I like Cable Guy. So he had a lot of things kind of in the mid 90s coming on. And obviously like In Living Color before this, Dumb and Dumber,
Uh,
Batman
Classic.
Forever. So he was really like Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber all came out in 1994. And then the Ace Ventura sequel and Batman Forever both came out in 1995. Then
He
Cable
was.
Guy in 1996. So he was like on a run.
Oh yeah, yeah. There. I remember there was a time, yeah, when you look, through the movie section, and then Jim Carrey seemed to be somewhere,
Yeah.
in a movie theater, in
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and he was
Yeah.
funny. I remember him. I remember seeing him on In Living Color,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where that's where I first got introduced to him, and then some of his characters. So,
Yeah.
but this was the first movie I think that I remember though where he had a big part.
Yeah. I guess like Once Bitten, he was a lead in that, but that was not as big of a movie.
Yeah, I remember the movie. And I think until you brought it up, I didn't remember that he was the male character, the male
Yeah.
lead. So
Yeah. I watched that around the same time and was terrified by it, despite the fact that it's like a comedy. But it had vampires, which for me as a little kid was too much.
oh,
Just like
okay.
the concept of vampires, I think
Vampires.
was like
Mm.
scary to me. So even if it was like a comedic vampire trying to like seduce Jim Carrey was like, nope,
Mm.
drawing the
We
line here. But
so
yeah.
so Ace Ventura then made an impression on you. I take it.
Yes. I mean, I think Jim Carrey is like one of the funniest people probably that has lived in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the like specificness of the character, like the look the hair, the
Oh,
outfit, the
the
way he talks, like the way he delivers lines. I still like anytime someone has like damage to their windshield, I'm like, oh, they're gonna have to lean their head out the window like Ace Ventura. I remember like one time I was in high school and like there was something on my windshield that like I couldn't get off, and like there was something on my windshield wipers and it kept like making my windshield dirtier. And I was like, I'm about to have to Ace Ventura the rest of this ride. I'm gonna stick my head out the window
stick
so I can see where I'm going.
and spoiler alert for those who goes, yeah, it's all throughout the movie. It's not just like one thing. They're
Yeah.
consistent with it. Yeah. So
Yeah. And then some of the like the alrighty then, like
yeah.
that the her, like that I still think of. Like if I want to in my mind, if I'm calling someone a loser, the her,
Zer.
all
Um,
of that. Yeah. I think it's just like a very like singular concept, I guess. And then that plus the way like Jim Carrey delivered it just like really stands out to me. Like some of the scenes, like I could just like think of them off the top of my head, like, do not go in there. That one, the one where he's standing on the balcony going, oh,
with the door,
with the
that's it,
door, the sliding door yelling. I used to
that.
do that with the door when I was a
Oh,
kid
did
when
you
we had a
really?
sliding
Okay,
door.
okay. So
But yeah, like all these things just like replay in my mind because it's so ridiculous. Like laces out, Dan. I think about that when people miss kicks when I'm watching the NFL. I think someone when I was in college had a Ray Finkel, like came to class in a Ray Finkel Dolphins
costume or
jersey.
really?
Yeah. Or like
That's
t-shirt, like Dolphins like t-shirt that said Finkel on it. And I'm
that's
like, that's
deep.
hilarious. I really want that. Where do you get
Exactly.
that?
Well, you can make one up. You can have one made.
I mean,
So
I can buy one online, but I'm
yeah,
sure if I Google it. But
but
yeah,
yeah.
so I think that like it's a piece of pop culture that like has stuck in my brain in many ways.
Hmm.
So clearly like it made an impact, right? Just like the catchphrases, I think mostly, but just like the over the top ridiculousness of it just makes it stick out to me. And I think in many ways it's still funny. In some ways I'm like, I think we could have gone another direction with this. And we'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, I think like Jim Carrey is just a hilarious person.
But he's very talented. I mean,
Yeah.
and he's done other things, some dramatic roles and
Hmm.
stuff. But I think throughout the years, yeah, his work is his body of work I think is pretty impressive. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think he's a great actor, and I think that's what I love about some of the comedic actors that I enjoyed as a kid is that they've also done like drama since then and they can
mhm.
do that well. Like Jim Carrey is an example. I think Adam Sandler has done some good drama
Oh gosh, yeah.
work. Even what's the movie? Will Ferrell in like Stranger Than Fiction, which is still like a
Hmm.
little bit comedic, but like I think that that's always really exciting to see. But yeah, like Jim Carrey in like The Truman Show is more dramatic, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Spotless
Mind,
Mind. That's the one that
and
comes to my mind.
Man on the Moon when he's
Hmm.
Andy Kaufman.
I was going to say when he played Andy Kaufman in the biography movie, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then just he was very versatile,
Mm-hmm.
very talented. He the accents, the impersonations of other actors, which he does a little bit in this.
Yes, yes.
When he goes into his William Shatner and Star Trek mode.
Yes. He does like half the cast of Star Trek.
Exactly, and all the iconic lines.
Yes. He like I'm like, do you have like a more elastic face than normal human beings? Like
It's
the way that he moves, just his face is like
it's like rubber.
I don't know that my face moves that much, but he like has it's like he has another like gear in terms of like facial expression compared to everybody else.
Is this a movie that you watch over and over again, or is this something that
I
if it's on
hadn't
TV that you would like? Oh, I'll turn this on.
if it was on TV, I would watch it. I don't think it like it doesn't feel like it comes on that much
Not like it used
anymore.
to.
So I
Yeah.
haven't watched it in a long time.
Oh, okay.
So this is the first time I'd watched it in a while. But I
Okay.
when I was a kid,
Hmm.
every time.
Okay.
This or the second one when nature calls,
Yeah.
every time. If I came
Gotcha.
across it, like I was watching it.
You were down
A
for
thousand
for the
percent.
whole movie, not just flipping around and all. I just
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. I love it.
Gotcha.
I love
Okay.
it. And I think like everybody in this movie is like a little bit ridiculous in a way that's funny.
Oh gosh,
Like
yeah.
the Finkles.
Hmm. The
When
the
we
the
like
the lady that plays, yeah, the mom,
mm-hmm.
and then, well, and then the other, other characters.
The other cops, the uh,
Uh,
those football players that are in it, even
yeah,
just that montage of him trying to look at everybody's rings.
Ring. Those are great
That
sequences.
like that sequence could just watch that over and over again because it's so funny. But yeah, what I was gonna say is Jim Carrey also co-wrote this. So like they had written kind of a script, and then when he came on, he
Oh,
helped
okay.
rewrite it. And he also like improvised a lot, which you can see um in it. But
I get
what
the
I
feeling that he might do that a lot in a lot of his movies. Maybe that there's a lot of ad libbing and improv.
yeah,
So,
I would think so. I think especially like in like I said, like this run of movies, like this, The
hmm
Mask, Liar Liar, like all of
hmm
those for sure. But what I thought was interesting is the director who also co-wrote it is Tom Shadyac. Listen to what else he directed.
Okay.
The Nutty Professor,
Oh,
Liar Liar,
there you go.
Patch Adams,
Oh, okay. With Robin
Bruce
Williams.
Almighty,
There you
and
go.
Evan Almighty.
Oh,
So I'm like,
so
you're touching like all of these, obviously working with like Jim Carrey over and over, but like also Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams. So like the some of the funniest people
yeah,
of
of
the
that
era.
era, yeah. So, and yeah, and again, very talented, and you could almost say
Yeah.
brilliant comedy minds. So,
Yeah. Eddie Murphy also another good at good outside of comedy.
exactly.
I think
Dreamgirls.
he should have won the Oscar for Dreamgirls.
He
I'm
should
just
have.
saying.
You're absolutely right. But you're
Yes.
right. Yeah, another actor who could do comedy and drama.
hmm For sure. For sure. Well, shall we talk about the movie?
Sure. Yes. So yeah. So open us up with the I did. I've forgotten. I hadn't watched this movie again, like you, in years and years. I
Same.
forgot the opening sequence. I really did,
Yeah.
and it was just so funny.
It
It's
is.
so
It's so
physical,
silly.
slapstick comedy funny.
hmm
So, but anyway, go ahead. So,
So we first meet Ace Ventura. We don't know that he's Ace Ventura just yet. We see a guy who's basically like a UPS delivery person just beating the shit out of a package that's labeled like glass, like do not break.
and fragile.
Yes. He's like throwing it on the ground, rolling it, kicking it, punting it, like anything you could do to like abuse this package. It says like please handle with care.
Yeah.
He goes to deliver it to this man, and like a little dog comes to the door, and he's talking to the dog like your little baby talk with the dog. And we got our first alrighty then. Um, and then he leaves, and the man in the apartment, who seems like a big kind of drunken a-hole of a person, is like calling for the dog. It's a stuffed dog. So Ace Ventura we see him outside. He's speed walking with a bundle under his shirt. He opens it. The dog's head pops out. He's taken the dog, and he calls it Lahu Zahu.
Several times.
Yes. So Ace Ventura and the dog get in his car, but the man realizes that he's taken the dog, so he busts his windshield. It's very funny. Just like him, Ace Ventura, like narrating this situation. Like when the guy comes up behind, and like on your car side mirror, it says like objects may be closer than they appear. And he goes, assholes may be closer than they appear. The guy's like beating in his windshield because his car won't start. And then he's like, I think they like knock the guy over, that he gets back up, and he goes, it's alive! It's alive! Because the guy's like hanging through the back windshield, hanging onto the seats as he's like starting to drive away. And both Ace Ventura and the dog are biting the man's hands, try to get him to let go. And they're trying to, shake him loose from the car. He finally, like, they shake him off. But then Ace Ventura has to drive with his head out the window the rest of the time because his front windshield is busted.
And I thought it was funny that the dog had his head out the window and Ace does on the other side.
Yes.
So they're both having their heads out the window for different reasons. But yeah, that was funny. It was just the whole
Yes.
sequence was funny.
Yes. So we ultimately learned that he was basically this dog was taken what appeared to be like a bitter divorce, and Ace Ventura went to get it back for the woman who has ginormous boobs and offers to repay him with sexual favors, which appear to be incredibly vigorous because he's hanging onto a door jamb and like swinging around.
Yeah, it was. I said to myself, I thought, because she said, "Well, let's get those pants off of you," and then it was like he was like just shaking all over the
He
place.
was like flinging all around, like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know what's going on down there, but all right.
The
Um,
yeah,
although
the
the man could
payoff.
use some payment in cash because he's a little strapped.
I put down. Evidently, this job doesn't pay well.
Not at all. Maybe Ace Ventura, you need to set up some sort of like invoice structure because
Exactly.
you're not doing well. Now, meanwhile, someone is stealing the dolphin mascot of the Dolphins. So in this universe, I don't know if this ever happened in real life. Not currently, but in this universe in Miami, the Miami Dolphins have an actual dolphin that's in a little pool on the sideline named
If they've ever
Snowflake.
had that, I don't know. That's a good question.
It doesn't feel like animal rights people would be in, and that also feels like a lot of money and maintenance that perhaps a team would not want to do. They probably it's probably cheaper to just like have a guy in a dolphin suit.
I will tell you that I think the first couple of years, at least first year, the Cincinnati Bengals had a real Bengal tiger in a cage on the
Mm.
sidelines for their mascot.
Did they
So
borrow it from the Cincinnati Zoo or
I
something?
think they did. I think it was on loan from the zoo, but
Mm.
I recall that. But I remember when they first started. So again,
Um,
I can't speak for the
yeah. And
Dolphins,
I know
but
like the Broncos have horses, but like
right. But that,
horses are a little easier.
yeah, exactly. They're
A
not a
dolphin,
wild
you got to have like
animal,
a tank
right?
and that's a lot of upkeep.
Exactly.
Got
So
to feed
and
feed them fish and
and
whatnot.
and the name of the dolphin, it's
Snowflake.
yeah. Why would you call it Snowflake?
That's a good question.
You know, why not? I don't know, Killer or
Shula.
oh, that's even better because we do see Dawn.
We do see him. I didn't
Yeah.
know who he was at the time when I watched that movie. Now I
Oh
do.
well, no, yeah, yeah. Now you
I
do.
was like, who's this old man?
Yeah. Well, you probably didn't know who Dan Marino was, did you?
I think I knew. Well, they talk about him in the movie, so I
Oh well,
think
that's
I
true.
I
Yeah, but
picked
you're
that
right.
up.
They don't say anything about Dawn
The other Don Shula, because all those other people in that montage are all
players.
actual Dolphins players.
Yeah.
So but I did get their names from the credits. I wrote them down,
Oh, okay.
but
Very
like they
good.
weren't ones that I would have recognized.
No, there was
They weren't ones I recognize now.
no. I don't. I was gonna say.
But
I'm sure there.
like in Little Giants, they had who was it? They had someone that was like famous.
I'm trying to
Was
remember
it
who it
Emmett
was.
Smith or
I
Michael
think it
or they had like
was
one of those. And like I knew who John Madden was,
right.
but the guys in this movie I did not recognize. But anyways, the Dolphins dolphin Snowflake is stolen. Yeah, why is it named Snowflake?
I don't know.
I don't know.
They never came out
They
with
never
that.
really it's just
Mm-mm.
like it's just named Snowflake. Meanwhile, Ace Ventura is returning home to his apartment and he is behind on rent. So when he walks past the landlord's apartment, he pulls a giant like piece of a palm tree off of the tree to hide himself as he walks by. But he's still spotted. This is also the first time we see Ace Ventura in his full Ace Ventura look.
Outfit, yeah. So
He's
and
got the swooped hair. It's like swooped in the front and in the back. It's usually like white t-shirt, like Hawaiian shirt, unbuttoned over it, some like striped pants and boots.
a belt with no belt loops.
I didn't
I,
notice.
I was trying to look. I was looking to see. Well, he's got a belt to hold his pants up, but there's no. I don't see any belt loops, and I know that's a small detail, but I wonder. And the boots are like combat engineer boots.
Yeah.
They're not even like dress boots or whatever. So
Yeah, it's a look.
it's a
It's a
look.
look.
Yeah,
If
I did.
somehow you've never seen this, like please Google Ace Ventura just to see the look.
Great
Because
Halloween
it's very
costume.
specific. Yes.
So, and I do like wearing Hawaiian shirts. So I was gonna say I like his shirts, but because
Yeah.
I
I
have
mean, and they're in
several.
Miami. It makes
Yeah,
sense. It's like
yeah.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So, but yeah, the hair is a
the hair is
statement.
wild. Yeah. You at least Google it to see what the hair looks like. Because again, it is very specific.
It's almost like what they used to call the ducktail,
Yeah.
from the 50s, but it's in place, man. No wind's
Yeah.
gonna
And then
take
because in
that
the
out.
front, he also has like a big like swoop
Swoop,
also.
yeah.
It's
So
just, yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, please look it up. His landlord still catches him. He's like, Ventura. And his landlord is,
he's
well,
a
first of all, he calls him, he's like, oh, I thought I heard the voice of Satan. Um, it's the actor Mark Margolis, who is also like a person that you've seen in a lot of other things.
movies, yeah.
Yeah,
And he usually plays a bad guy. Doesn't he?
yeah, sort
Plays
of
a
like he gives like
like
in various ethnic mafias.
I was gonna say he usually plays a
Like,
mob guy.
yeah. Yeah. Of like whatever you need
Yeah,
him for the Albanian mob, the Italian mob,
Russian
whatever
mob.
mob,
Hmm.
he's probably your guy.
Yeah.
Again, I'm certain he's been on various Law and Orders. Anyways, he's behind on rent. He owes him rent. Ace Ventura is like has a little poster. He's about to find this missing white pigeon that he's gonna get $25,000 for, and he'll pay him back right then. And the guy's like, okay. And he's like, do you have any animals in here? You're not supposed to have any animals in here. And Ace Ventura is like, obviously I don't have any animals. Come on in. There's no animals in the apartment. The guy's like, okay. He's skeptical, but there are no animals. So what can he do? As soon as the door closes, it's a friggin' zoo. Literally. There are penguins coming out of the fridge. There are dogs. There are cats. There are raccoons. There are lizards. There are parrots.
Everything. There's
It's like the opening scene of The Lion King. Like it's a regular menagerie. Like as Ode to Joy plays also.
right. And I did like the penguin sliding out of the freezer or whatever.
Yes.
That was great.
Also, it was obvious something was he had a little door, like a dog door on the refrigerator.
What can I say? So, but yeah.
The landlord obviously was not like looking that hard, but
Plus, I guess there was no smell.
yeah. So
You know,
I want to know what kind of air fresheners Ace Ventura is using.
Yeah, or what kind of litter he uses for his pets. So
Yeah.
Us cat owners, we know about those things.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
That's why I would love to know. Please share.
Yes.
Back at the Dolphins headquarters. I don't know what it was called then. Now it's Hard Rock Stadium. Then I'm sure it wasn't.
The Joe Robbie Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins, like their owner or whatever, is ranting at a couple folks. Roger Podacter, who is the head of operations, and Melissa something, who's the publicist. She's played by Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox, from Friends. She's
Right.
Monica from Friends, or she's Gail Weathers from Scream. I feel like those are the only two other like big things that you would know her from. Roger Podacter is I know him as Frank from the
ER.
like the check-in desk at ER. Yeah, in ER.
That's what I know him from. So
Yeah. I think he's been a couple other things I wrote down, but like I'm like, oh, I never put that together. I'm like, oh, it's Frank from ER. So if you know me, I am ER is like my favorite show of all time. But anyways, Frank from ER is Roger Podacter. If you haven't watched ER, you should watch it. I think you can stream it on Hulu. It's 2 weeks to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And they had a whole stunt. The Dolphins are going to be in the Super Bowl. They had a whole stunt plan with the Dolphin. So it's like, this is not the time for this to be happening. So there's some pressure kind of on this whole situation, which I think is always good. You got to set up some stakes at the beginning. Because obviously it sucks that the Dolphin is gone, but like the Dolphin is gone. We need the Dolphin for the Super Bowl that's in 2 weeks. That, amps it up.
Because the Dolphin evidently can do tricks or something. So it's
they were going to have it like
it kicks a field goal or something.
It kicks a field goal.
or
Then
well,
they were gonna have it
boots of
like,
football.
yeah, it like uses its back fin to
Yeah,
boot a football through the uprights. So those two, Melissa and Roger, are like, what the hell are we gonna do? Like the police, we call the police. They don't have any leads so far. They were investigating animal rights groups, which is a reasonable place to start. And then the
sure.
lady at the front desk is like, oh, there's a pet detective. You can call him when my like dog went missing. He helped find my dog. He's a like a specialist. He's a professional. You should call him. And they're like, oh, what is a pet detective? That's so dumb. But then they're like, you know what? I guess we ought to give it a try.
Yeah.
Cut back to Ace, who is on a roof with that albino pigeon just out of his reach. And then his beeper
And
goes off and it flies away.
which is another way we're in the 90s.
Yes, the beeper.
The beeper.
So he ends up going to meet with Melissa and spends the whole meeting chomping sunflower seeds as like a squirrel, like just with his front teeth, and putting all the shells on her desk.
They,
She's like, do you want an ashtray? And he's like, I don't smoke.
that's a disgusting habit. And he's got, when he says it, his teeth are full of like sunflower
Covered.
seeds and
Yeah.
stuff. He also, I was looking at, are those his real teeth? I mean,
He has giant teeth.
He has some choppers now, let me tell you.
And I say that as a person of big teeth experience here.
Stop.
No, I'm not. That's not an insult. I do just generally have like big teeth. It's fine.
What and it's not just these two front teeth; it's all of them. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, he's got some choppers in there.
Yeah.
Come on, those are teeth.
Yeah.
He could crack walnuts with those things.
For sure. We see Dan Marino, who I read almost like wasn't going to do this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He thought it was beneath him?
He wasn't sold until he met Jim Carrey.
Oh, well, that's
because he read it and he was like, this is like weird.
Yeah.
And then he met Jim Carrey and he was like, okay, this could be okay. Because I guess he met Jim Carrey and he was like, okay, he has like a vision.
Yeah. Or
here.
Maybe he laid it out for him, like how he envisioned the movie to be seen. So
yeah, exactly.
Wonder if he met him in character.
That would be funny. But and also Dan Marino said that like his kids, because his kids were little when he played football, they know him from this more than they know him from playing football.
Nice. So yeah.
I don't know how he would feel.
Daddy's in a movie with Jim Carrey.
Yeah. I mean, if I was a little kid, that would be more appealing to me.
Yeah, well, I could see that. Yeah. So
anyways, I also did write a note here. Just the way that Jim Carrey moves his face. We already talked about this, but like he is like an elastic person.
Yeah.
He's like Mr. Fantastic. Like his skin is stretchy, or Elastigirl from The Incredibles. Like it's wild. It is astounding.
It is. Yeah. If y'all didn't see him early on when he was on in Living Color and he did these bits and this sort of thing. Yeah. It's worth watching.
Yeah. So they take him out to look at the pool where the dolphin was taken from. So, they're looking at the tire tracks and stuff. And he's like, I need to go in the tank. And he says, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, then just wait longer. And I want to start using that.
Yeah.
So he goes
back to you in 10 minutes. Just wait a little bit longer.
Yes. He hops in there. And then this is when he starts his like full he starts the William Shatner Captain Kirk impression. Then he goes into a Scotty and a McCoy. So he's basically doing a whole Star Trek episode by himself, basically.
Yeah, with, like I said, with the iconic lines like, I don't have the power, or
I don't have the power.
damn it, Jim, I'm a surgeon, not a fish tank cleaner or whatever he says or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
There are no signs of life anywhere.
He does do a good William Shatner, I
He
gotta
does.
admit. Yeah.
He does. Meanwhile, there are a whole bunch of reporters coming demanding to know where the dolphin is, which
Right.
is just silly.
They want to see Snowflake. Yeah.
Like, we want to see Snowflake. Where is Snowflake?
Like
And they're like, Snowflake is not available right now. They're
was
like, is he sick?
yeah.
Why leave us alone about the dolphin? But while this is happening, Ace Ventura finds a little gemstone in the filter.
Yeah.
It looks just like a little orange pebble, but it is in fact a I forget what it is.
Is it a
An
ruby?
orange gemstone. It's not a
Yeah,
ruby.
not a ruby. Yeah. Some
Citrine or something like that.
yeah.
It's whatever one is orange.
Yeah.
He wants to check out what the police have found out. Clearly, there is an existing relationship with the police, which is mostly not good. Except for he's got like one guy there named Emilio, played by the rapper Tone Loc, who he's cool with. Everybody else, no. They all make fun of him.
And yeah, they all yeah, like kid him about different things about, animals rights and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and
They like step on a cockroach and they're like, oh no,
oh,
was that a murder?
that was kind of sad. So I mean, I don't
But
like
then he
cockroaches
made fun
either.
of, but then he was like, he made it like a dick joke to the guy that
Yeah,
like
he said, oh,
the
yeah.
cockroaches was bigger than his.
Yeah, exactly. That it was. Is that the part where you thought that this might have been inappropriate for a child to watch?
No, not that part actually.
Okay.
The part where I will say, where we hear the lion sleeps tonight.
Yeah.
That
Okay. I
part,
wondered if we're going to get to that. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That part, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have
Or
watched this.
even the first case he was on where he gets paid.
Yeah. Again, I
Yeah.
didn't know. I missed it though. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, look at him swinging around.
Yeah. So
That's the good thing about little kids. They don't understand things.
yeah,
Um,
that's nice. I was good, and hopefully nobody bothered to say, "Oh no, this is what's happening."
no, thankfully my dad did. He let me watch movies that were inappropriate. He at least did not explain it.
Good job,
This
Dad.
this is another piece. This next piece is something that I thought was so funny as a kid. And my dad did too. When he's talking with his butt. He goes up to Emilio and bends over and is like moving his butt cheeks with his hands as if his butt is talking to him. In any case, Ace learns that the other detective that was just making fun of him, Aguado, is the lead detective on this case. They have looked into animal rights groups, but have not found anything yet. So he's like, okay, he has a basis, he has a place to start. But Tone Loc, Emilio is like, you have to leave before the boss comes.
Right.
At which point, of course, he's like doing opera with his butt.
and in a different voice.
Yes.
It's like a deep voice. It's like, excuse me.
Yes. But then the boss comes in. Lieutenant Lois Einhorn, played by Sean Young, who you may recognize from Blade Runner. Most likely. I feel like the biggest thing she's in is probably Blade Runner.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
No Way Out, Dune, the
Mhm.
80s Dune. And she's like, Ace Ventura, back off. Every time she talks to him, she's like, Ace Ventura. Just such vitriol. She
Oh,
is like
yeah.
spitting his name out. Ace Ventura, get out of here. Back off the snowflake case. And then he says, maybe I'll give you a call. Your number still 911? Alrighty then. All the little lines like that just crack me up.
I know they're silly, but they are still funny the way he does
They're
them.
like clever.
Yeah. And he doesn't come across as like what's the word I'm saying? As being silly or goofy like some other, roles would be, or some other actors maybe would have brought to the role. So he's like playing it dead straight. I mean, that's the way his character is. So
Yeah.
that's what I like about it.
I
I
read
think.
too that he was like trying to make him as like annoying as possible,
Well, he did a good job.
which
I,
like mission accomplished.
yeah, I think so for the most part. Although
Yeah.
we never find out why Tone Loc likes him, Emilio. So,
Yeah.
or why they get along. And who knew that Tone Loc was like just a regular person?
Right.
With that, even though with his voice, I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
by the way, yeah,
Funky Cole
Gold
Medina.
Medina. So, um, but I didn't even know what Tone Loc looked like back
I
then.
know. I didn't like. I always knew like that was the guy in the movie, and then I read Tone Loc, and I was like, "Who is Tone Loc in this movie?" And
Yeah,
then I
and
was like, "Oh,
yeah,
that's him."
because he was just like a regular person. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, and he, acted. I thought he was good in the movie,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
actually. So,
Yeah, he
uh,
seems to be mostly like amused by Ace,
yeah,
which I think is kind of the orientation that you have to take with someone like that,
right,
because he can be very annoying. So you just can't let it get to you. Um, but now that he has kind of a start, Ace is going to begin his investigation. He goes next to a metal club,
oh
um,
god,
which this is
hair.
actually like a real band.
Oh, it was.
Yes,
Oh,
that Jim Carrey picked. They're called Cannibal Corpse.
nice. I did
The
not know
song
that.
is called Hammer Smashed Face.
Perfect.
Yeah. But he like I guess Jim Carrey was a fan and
Uh,
he picked them. So
big
apparently
hair, but
just raised their profile. So
big hair band.
good for them. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So he has a guy that like is in the back of the metal club. You got to have a password in the little door kind of thing. So this guy is sort of a hacker. He like hacks into sort of like various like radar things to divert whaling ships. So he's kind of like a Greenpeace sort of dude.
right, but
But he
like
also
a
has like
nerd.
yes, he also has sort of the hookup of like illegal pet trade kind of thing. So Ace Ventura is like, someone took this dolphin. We know they got to have like a big tank, a bunch of water, a bunch of supplies. Can you look at like people who ordered that kind of
Yeah.
stuff? And he finds this billionaire, Ronald Camp, who just bought a bunch of equipment. He has connections with the dolphins, and he collects rare species. So it's like, oh, seems like the guy.
Right.
This is also where we get another Healy. Another good one. I did not deliver that as well as Jim Carrey does, but
I thought it was pretty
watch the
good
movie.
actually. So I knew where you were going with it.
Yeah. But that's another kind of like Ace Ventura ism.
Mm-hmm.
So Ace and Melissa, Courtney Cox, go to this party at Ronald Camp's mansion, which appears to have a moat, first of all.
Oh, I didn't notice
When
that.
he like snuck out of the bathroom, there was like water
Oh,
outside.
oh yeah, I forgot about
And I
that.
was like, is this a damn moat?
Moat.
This man
So,
has a moat. So that lets you know the level of wealth he's at.
by the way, I also wrote down Jim's jacket was so reminiscent of the 90s fashion style at the time. It was the
Mhm.
big shoulder blades and it looked like a box.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you ever watch the video from the Talking Heads, it
I
looks
was
like,
going to say exactly. It reminds me of the Talking Heads.
yeah, it looks like the Talking Heads suit. So
Yeah.
Sean Young's suit when she first comes into the scene is the same thing. It just looks like a box. So
Yeah.
anyway.
So Ace Ventura is Melissa's like, don't embarrass me because this is like
Oh,
a rich person. And of course, he proceeds to do just that. He pretends to be a lawyer. And he basically is like, oh, wow, one of the greatest ways that people can get sued is by having food poisoning at private parties. Then he's like at the food, like taking bites of things and like putting them down. Then he needs to like sneak away to investigate. So he pretends that he's getting food poisoning. So he has to go to the bathroom. It first of all, it appears to be like a public restroom because it has like multiple sinks and like stalls, but okay.
Right. Well, I thought about
Maybe
that.
this is an event space. Maybe it's not. Well, no, it's his house because
Yeah, it's his place. So
I guess he's built for entertaining. So He turns on the water, locks the door, and sneaks out the window around what appears to be a moat, and then sneaks in another door. And he finds a big tank, a very big tank. It's bigger than the one that Snowflake was in.
Right. Oh yeah, the one Snowflake in was like a little pool. So
Yeah. Also, the Mission Impossible theme is playing
dum,
this whole
dum,
time.
dum, dum, yep. And he's like doing the
Yeah.
sneaky thing,
He's like
with the
pretending to like jump on a wall, but like he's just standing on the ground.
yeah.
And then he's like shuffling along it. They have me flashbacks to fourth grade band when we played the Mission Impossible theme.
Oh, okay.
I
All
played
right.
saxophone.
Oh,
So I got to do the doo-doo-doo.
doo-doo-doo.
That was me.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Yeah. So he makes it in this room. There's this big tank. He's like, oh, great. He comes up on the little walkway with the bucket of fish. He's like, come here, Snowflake. Come here, Snowflake. It's not Snowflake.
It looks like Jaws.
It looks like the shark from Jaws.
Doesn't it?
It's a big ass shark that comes jumping up. Then he falls in the water. This whole scene looks like Jaws because then he's being dragged around. This is exactly what happens in the opening scene of Jaws.
I was going to say it's a takeoff of that whole sequence. It's got to be, because he's like going back and forth like he's on.
Yes.
You're caught by the shark. I love that.
Meanwhile, there is a very long line for the bathroom.
Was I the only one that wondered why does this guy only have one bathroom? Like if he's having this big party, is there in this huge house? There's only one
Divert them
bathroom?
elsewhere. Certainly, there are other ones.
Yeah, because there's like 20 people waiting in line to go to the bathroom.
Right. At this moment, Ace Ventura comes out of the bathroom, soaking wet. His pants are shredded. They're basically like barely there at this point. And this is when he goes, do not go in there. Woo! When he's like fanning as if it smells terrible. Also, he squishes the water out of his pocket. That part always makes me laugh too.
That does, where he goes like that and this water squirts out of his shirt pocket.
Yeah. So, needless to say, Ace and Melissa are escorted out. On the way out, though, he sees something on Ronald Camp's hand, which is a ring. It is the Dolphins' 1984 AFC Championship ring, which has little orange stones in it. So he's like, aha, that's where this came from. At first, he looks through in Melissa's office. She has all the sort of old Dolphins like books and rosters and pictures and stuff. So he's able to find it and identify it. Because at first she's like, what are you talking about? That's a pebble. And he's like, no, it's not. It's like a citrine stone, da-da-da.
Yeah, in this particular setting.
And because it was like cut in a specific like little, it looked like a little football shape almost. So it was like,
oh, right.
Clearly like missing from this specific ring. So it's like, great. We have a list of people who have these rings. Let's go investigate. This, I think, is one of the funniest sequences in the whole movie.
Agreed.
Period. So no stones were missing in Camp's ring. So he's out. And obviously he has a shark, not Snowflake.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not Snowflake.
So he's off the list. One guy, he like drives next to him and taunts him until he gives him the finger, which of course is the finger with the ring on it. Not missing any stones. He's like staring at it very closely, like while driving.
Right, yeah.
The other guy, it just sort of builds. Don Shula goes to put mail in a mailbox, and Ace Ventura is inside the mailbox and grabs his hand. He's in there with like one of the little like eye scope things that jewelers wear and like a flashlight. Yeah. Just staring at it. And then he lets it go. Don Shula's like, what the hell is in this mailbox? I'm just trying to drop off my mail. I'm about to lose an arm. One guy, he arm wrestles and loses very badly. He flies. He's wearing a fake beard for whatever reason.
I guess he's supposed to look manlier he's supposed to look like an arm wrestler.
Yeah, I look like someone who arm wrestles. He flies across the room when he loses because he's just looking at the ring. But again, no dice there. One guy, he gets him to punch him in the face, and then he looks in the mirror to like count the indents on his forehead.
That was a good one.
One guy, he fully is like, they're at the urinal next to each other and he's looking at his hand while he's peeing. And the guy thinks he's like checking him out and he's into it,
Yeah, he's like,
which
did you
he
find out who
indicates.
that player was?
I don't know who was who. I have the
Oh,
list of
okay.
them. I don't know which one was which though.
Okay.
But he indicates that he was into it by doing a little quote unquote like gay run. He runs sort of
Yeah. Uh-huh.
his
After,
little, yeah,
yeah,
floppy
because he gives
floppy
him
wrist
kind of the
run.
smile, and
Yeah.
it's, yeah, after, yeah.
The best one was there's one guy that's running on a track and Ace Ventura, they keep cutting to this and he's just like running behind him on the track. So you're like, what's going on? Then he jumps on his back and like chloroforms
Forms.
him, with the like the white cloth and the like ether chloroform, whatever, and like takes him down
Yeah.
and then looks, the guy's just like passed out in the field in the middle of this track.
Yeah, because the running joke used to be, does this smell like chloroform to you? And it's like, you put him out. So I know, because at first he was trying to run beside of him, and the guy
Yeah.
just kept, just blew by him, and,
Yeah.
and that was
And
that
he
was
just jumps like a piggyback ride and chloroforms him until he goes down.
um yeah,
But
that was that. I thought that was the funniest one of all of them, was that finally in order to get to the guy, he had to knock him out.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God. But no dice.
No,
Can't find any rings, missing a gem.
and in the meantime, he's marking through all the players in the photo
Mm-hmm.
where he's checked them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's eliminating them as one
Yeah.
by one.
And he's eliminated everyone.
Yeah, yeah, can't be that then,
Yeah. And Courtney Cox, Melissa is like, I still think it's an animal rights group. Ace says, no, I don't think it is. But also he like agrees with them. He's like, the dolphin shouldn't be there. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
the dolphin should not be like on the side of a football stadium.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for the dolphin.
Yeah. They get into a little tiff. She says, you're just mad that you're wrong. And he goes, and you're fat.
Yeah.
He just like keeps calling her fat in different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, okay, what? But then she gets a call and Roger Podacter is dead in an apparent suicide. He apparently leapt from the balcony, like his 20th floor condo. So they go. He's like laying there on the ground. They're, covering him up, loading him up. And they kind of sneak into the apartment, which is obviously full of like police and like evidence techs and all that. They're interviewing the neighbors. I love that she has like a very Southern accent for being in Miami. I heard a scream.
Maybe she's a transplant.
She must have been. She retired. She's a snowbird.
Yeah, there you go.
So, again, the police are not happy to see Ace Ventura there, but he has another theory for them. Murder. They're like, obviously it's a suicide. He's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
It's a murder because, and again, this leads to one of my favorite things. So his theory is that why it has to be a murder. The neighbor says she heard a scream. But when the landlord or whatever, the building manager came in, the balcony door, the sliding glass door to the balcony was closed. Ace Ventura demonstrates that the neighbor could not have heard a scream with the door closed. He demonstrates this by standing on the balcony and opening and closing the door while like opera singing. He goes like, ah! And like you can't hear him when the door is closed. You can hear him when the door is open. So he demonstrates if he jumped off the balcony with the door closed, she wouldn't have been able to hear her scream.
Right.
So he's like, somebody was in here. There was a struggle. He says there was a little drop of blood on the balcony, like whatever. And then he like celebrates being right. Like, you feel that? Do you feel that?
Oh God. That might have been one of those moments that might not have been appropriate for.
I watched wrestling, and
okay.
DX did that too. They did a suck it thing, which my mom told me I was not allowed to do. So the sort of like air humping thing was, been there, done that. But I love this because this is a line that also lives in my mind, even though it's not like a big line. He goes, I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear. And then once again, for good measure, Lihoo, the hers.
And Sean Young again is perturbed.
Yes, she's over him. She's like, Ventura, get out of here. Because that's how she talks to him every time. She's just like gritted teeth, like, Ace Ventura, you leave here.
She's got some impressive teeth too, now that I think about it.
She does. We see him a lot because she's like, got him.
Although she's not smiling. Yeah.
No, they're clenched.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because of this, Ace Ventura is like, this is all connected. I need to see like everybody who got that ring.
Right. Yeah. Am I missing somebody
like, he was looking at the team picture and going by that, but he's like, is there someone? Because, of course, like in the NFL, like there's people in the front office, right? Like that Ronald Camp had a ring. So like who, like everyone that got this ring, I need to know. Pull all the receipts. Of course, now that he did that, they were fighting before, but Melissa's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was impressed
I'm impressed. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
And then they talk about why he works with animals rather than people, which is like kind of like a sweet thing. So, there's things are brewing.
Yeah. Although there's a goofy part of the story too, when he first tells her, it talks about like,
he tells her like a fake dream.
The dream about the dog with the rabies and
he told her he had a dream where he would get chased by a dog with rabies, and every time he would like get bitten, or like right before he's about to wake up, he'd get bitten, and he was like, rock. Just to like startle her.
Here, look at the back of my neck, see? And then he's
ah.
So would that have worked on you, by the way, that routine?
Would I have like looked at the back of his neck?
No, would you have been intrigued then by Ace Ventura as if
I don't think so.
I'm just curious. I was sitting there.
I mean, I like a funny guy, but he seems like a lot.
A lot. That's what it came to mind, because Courtney Cox up to this point was like, because she goes, I should fire you. I don't know. And it's like, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, but you demonstrated one thing, and now I can overlook all this other stuff.
Right. You put
'cause-
some things together. You did some basic deductive reasoning, and now,
all
is forgiven.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
we get even more of that, but not before he sees another picture of the team.
Yeah.
That has another person in it that was not in the first picture. It's Ray Finkel. He was the kicker that year who missed what would have been the game-winning field goal in the Super Bowl. He wasn't in the original picture because he joined the team later in the season.
Right.
The Dolphins dropped him after he missed the field goal. So Ace Ventura is like, aha, motive. And then they're like, well, what should we do next? Cut to, they're back at Ace Ventura's apartment having sex to The Lion Sleeps Tonight with all of the animals watching.
With an audience, exactly. Yeah.
It is like the beginning of The Lion King. All the animals?
Exactly.
It's that.
Yes.
There are monkeys. There are birds. There's a raccoon. There are squirrels. There's a basset hound that looks less amused.
But they're all like, they're encircled,
just surrounding the bed.
Yeah.
It's very weird. I mean, it's not a huge apartment, but still. That was a part that was perhaps inappropriate for me to watch when I was a kid.
Probably. Yeah, pretty much.
But again, I don't think that I knew what was going on.
Well, no.
I was just like, oh, I know this song.
A wing a whap, a wing a whap, a wing a whap.
Yeah.
The lion sleeps tonight.
Because they do it in The Lion King also.
Oh, okay.
And my dad likes this kind of music.
That's a classic.
Yeah. Anyways, Ace Ventura drives to Ray Finkel's house, which is in
Still in
like
this smashed up car. I was
still in a
thinking,
smashed up car.
dude,
The man is broke. I'm like, you can't get them the dolphins to, they don't have a, you're not on a retainer.
that's what I wrote. The Dolphins can't get him a rental, after
Right?
like, come on. He's helping you guys find Snowflake. You can't even, or at the very least, get his windshield fixed. You know,
Right?
I did. I
He
wrote
doesn't
that
get an
down.
advance.
I wrote that down. I said they can't get him another car. God.
Right? I'm sure
Uh,
that like they have deals with all the dealerships. There's always football players and car dealership commercials.
exactly. You'd think somebody could, either at the very least fix it, but no, he's still driving his broke down, whatever it is, 67 Cutlass or something. So
Right. And he's like, this one, it's not that close where he drove. Had to drive like to the other side.
yeah, because he was on the freeway or whatever you want to call it, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
Because they
So
said that Ray Finkel lived in Collier County, which is like the other side. It's like
side
the
of,
Gulf
of
side.
oh
Like
right.
Miami's on the Atlantic side. It's on the Gulf. It's like south, but it's on the
Mm.
Gulf side. So he had to like
It-
drive across the state.
it's in the country. It's
It is. It is. The house has seen better days. It looks like the damn like Norman Bates's house, except it's covered in graffiti. That's like choke. Obviously, you know how football fans are when
mhm,
their
mhm.
teams lose. So
Yeah.
they took it out on this house.
It also looks like that's the only paint that house has seen, uh, for a long, long, long time.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So it's dilapidated, it's graffitied. He Ace Ventura knocks on the door and the dad holds him at gunpoint and is like, "What are you doing?" He's able to like name a bunch of facts about Ray Finkel. So they're like, oh, the mom's like, oh, he's a fan. Let him in. The mom is played by Alice Drummond, who we
Yes.
met in Tu Wong Fu. She was
Yep.
the lady who didn't talk. She's also, as we discussed then, the librarian in Ghostbusters, I think, are
Right.
some of her most notable roles. So she's like a small, cute old lady, which makes this whole next scene funnier.
She's probably the thread that makes she's probably the common thread amongst all these movies. These movies are all great
She
because of her.
is. When we
Yeah.
do
She's the
like
secret talent.
yes. She is like her part is so funny to me though in this movie.
It is, yeah.
So she invites him in and she's like, have a seat. And Ace Ventura is like, is Ray here? And she's like, oh no, but he'll be back soon. And she's like, oh, you want some cookies? I made some cookies. She leaves to go get cookies. The dad is like, Ray is not coming back. He was in a mental hospital and he busted out and we have not seen him since.
Yeah, she thinks he's coming
She's
back.
delusional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As he said, the motor's running, but nobody's behind the wheel. I love that. That's a great
Yes.
line.
So she comes back with cookies that are, of course, shaped as footballs with the laces out.
Out. And she's talking about how Dan Marino
Dan
should die of
Marino.
gonorrhea.
Yes. This is she said they blame Dan Marino for him missing the kick because Dan Marino, I think at this time in the NFL, and I think like in high school football too, the quarterback is the holder
Yeah.
for place kickers, and he did not put the laces out, which you were supposed to do for a kick, and they say that's why Ray missed the kick. So they basically blame Dan Marino for everything bad that has happened. She says Dan Marino, or he says like, oh, you're not a fan of Dan Marino, and she says Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Do you want a cookie, son? And she delivers this straight face, dead serious, but with a cute little old lady voice.
Yeah, the smiley little old lady face, like in the little dimples and stuff. And then, yeah, so.
Then she's like, oh, do you want to see Ray's room? And she takes him upstairs. It's a room that Ace Ventura describes as cozy if you're Hannibal Lecter. And it's full of Dan Marino hate. So it's just full of various Dan Marino pictures and paraphernalia with like knives, darts, like nooses drawn up, like anything.
Die Dan
Marino.
Yeah.
It's bad. There's an arrow in one of them, like of shot by a bow.
Yeah.
Like
I like
it's
the football helmet with the big knife stuck in it. That was,
yeah,
yeah, that was good. So,
cute.
yeah, yeah, it's a
Ace
nice
Ventura
touch.
is like, oh, Dan Marino, you in danger, girl.
Mhm.
So he rushes out to a payphone, another sign, it's the 90s,
Yep.
and
No
calls
cell phones
Melissa.
here, kids.
Yeah, he's like, he tells Melissa, he's like, Dan Marino is about to be kidnapped. You need to get the police to wherever he is now. Because he was at a commercial shoot for
Yeah.
gloves,
For
isotoner gloves,
isotoners.
which I is probably a joke that I should get, but is that did he like advertise those a lot?
Yeah, he pimped for isotoner gloves. That was a thing, yeah, back in the day. So
Nice, nice. So he's advertising some more isotoner gloves. It's clearly like there's supposed to be other football players in the commercial, but those guys were beat up, and some kidnappers dress up in the football player outfits. Another classic gambit that we saw in Star Wars. You know, knock people
yeah.
out and take their clothes. Always happens. So they haul out Dan Marino. It is kind of funny. They just pick him up and
Yeah,
carry him out, and he's like, "Guys, what are you doing?"
yeah. Is this a rewrite? Is this?
Yes. Dan Marino was pretty funny. He was pretty
He
funny.
really was. I thought he was a good sport for this.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that he actually didn't want to do this, I thought, well, something brought him around. But that
Mhm.
was a nice pickup that you had to.
Yeah. So they load him in a van. The police are too late, and Ace Ventura also gets there too late. So Dan now not only is the Dolphin missing, but the starting quarterback of the Dolphins, who are about to be in the Super Bowl, is missing. So things have gone from bad to worse. Ace chases them. He does give chase,
Yeah, I was gonna say
and they're shooting at him. He catches a bullet in his teeth. Speaking of big old chompers,
I know. I was going to say these are indestructible, man. I'm telling you.
what are those made out of? Man, he must have
Exactly.
very strong enamel.
Yeah.
But then his car goes off the road and they get away. You know, this car is not in good shape. Once again, give him a rental.
Yeah.
Ace Ventura goes to talk to Lieutenant Lois Einhorn of the Miami Police Department to tell her his theory about how it was Ray Finkel that's doing all of this.
Right.
Because he's taking revenge. Einhorn then like makes out with him. I don't know. All the women in this movie are very excited, but whenever he comes up with any sort of like revelation.
I wrote down that he sure gets lucky a lot.
Right. It's like he just like says a bit of like investigative deductive reasoning, and then women throw themselves at him.
Yeah. So yeah.
He does say something that we're gonna plant a little seed here and come back to it. He says, "Your gun is digging into my hip." Okay.
Okay.
She lets him go. She tells him once again to let the cops handle it. He says no. He decides he's going to go to the mental institution where Ray Finkel had been committed, because he knows that his stuff is still there. That's what the dad told him. That Ray absconded.
Oh, yeah. They keep
and
bugging him to come and get his stuff.
Keep telling me to come get his stuff. So his stuff is still there. So Ace is like, maybe there's a clue there. He has Melissa commit him.
Another iconic outfit, by the way.
Yes. So this time he's still doing the Hawaiian shirt and the t-shirt. Now he's in shorts. He's still got the boots on.
Still got the boots with no laces.
No laces. You can't have laces in a mental hospital.
Right, exactly.
He's got shorts on now. And over top of that, he's got a big pink tutu. He's also basically, it looks like he just took the sides of his hair and like pulled it out. Yeah. It's like sticking out crazy. It's still sort of got the shape, but it's sticking out on the sides.
And it's stiff as a board.
He looks bananas. But he's like, he pretends that he's an ex-football player too. Because they're like, oh, we have experience with that.
Yeah, we know how to deal with athletes.
His scene, he's like acting out like a football play, but he's like, let's do it in slow motion. And so he's doing an entire football play in slow motion. And then he says, let's see that in instant replay. And then he rewinds himself back to the beginning. It's ridiculous, but Melissa keeps talking to the doctor to kind of distract him. Ace breaks into a storage closet where he finds Ray's stuff. He finds like a journal that's full of die Dan, laces out.
Yeah. I'm
Then
gonna get a shirt that says that, laces out.
yes, yes. I'm sure you can find one.
Ooh, yeah.
The orderlies are coming in and he tries to hide in the box. It's like, you are a tall man. You cannot fit in the box. He can't, but the orderlies don't like come all the way in, so he's fine.
It's like a cat. It's like one of my cats trying to get into a box that's like a half a size too small
Right.
for them. You know,
If it fits, I sits.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, they can't see me. I'm in the box.
Exactly. He finds a newspaper article about a missing hiker named Lois Einhorn, which is like, ooh, I know someone by that name. So Ace, I guess he calls his buddy Emilio at the police department, because then Emilio's going through Einhorn's like desk and stuff.
Yeah.
He finds a note from Roger Podacter thanking her for like a wonderful Saturday evening. And so Ace is trying to figure out the connection between Finkel and Einhorn. While he is doing this, he's laying in his home with birdseed in his belly button while one of his birds eats it out of his belly button.
Hey.
He's very comfortable with the animals, I guess.
That and the monkey.
Yes.
Who's
the monkey's always
mimicking everything that he does. Like,
yes.
all the
I do love a little capuchin monkey. They're so cute.
okay.
I think he has one in the second one. There's one in
Yeah.
the second one that always
There
hangs
is,
around
yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, oh my God, I want a capuchin monkey. I don't think they're actually good to have, but like, I wanted
I
to
don't think,
them.
yeah, I don't think they, yeah.
I don't think any
it's
monkey, they'll like rip your face off. They're not nice.
yeah, especially after that lady that, yeah, had that.
Yeah, well, that was a chimp. They're bigger. Capuchins are small, but still.
They're still stronger than we are.
In, and in the movie Outbreak, a capuchin monkey starts the Ebola outbreak.
Oh, I forgot about
the movie Outbreak.
Oh,
It
yeah.
spits in Patrick Dempsey's mouth.
Yeah.
So I don't want that. Anyways, Ace Ventura is trying to figure it out. He's like losing his mind. Then one of his dogs, it's like a little.
Is it a Shih Tzu or a Lhasa Apso? It's like got long hair.
Yeah, I think it's like a little Shih Tzu
Or
thing,
is it it's something. It's got.
Yeah. It lays down on a picture of Ray Finkel. So you can see Ray Finkel with longer hair.
Although, should we put him at that? Also, Ray Finkel has.
He had a giant mustache,
Yeah.
like a big '90s dad mustache.
Yeah.
Mustache my dad had in 1994.
There you go.
A black mustache.
Or what we used to call porn stash.
That was weird because I said my dad.
Sorry, no, that's just what guys who had like big, thick mustaches.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, and I would call it that, but it's just the fact that I just said my
Sorry,
dad.
no,
First.
sorry. I'll pull it back. Sorry.
No, you're good. Anyways, Ace Ventura has the revelation that Finkel and Einhorn are the same person. Here's where things start to go left in terms of how this movie has aged. His reaction to determining that Finkel and Einhorn are the same person is to vomit. Wretch.
Sorry.
I mean, I will say the visual image of him doing it is very funny because he's very it's so exaggerating.
Yeah.
It's very over the top. And he said he actually did this on purpose, this extra homophobic reaction just to be obnoxious and over the top.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, I knew it would upset some people, but it's what he went for. So to some extent, I'm I respect that you can say that this was an icky reaction, but you did it on purpose. So
right.
great.
Yeah, that you knew that you were gonna get you were
Mhm.
going to get this reaction out of it, and actually you were looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
he's like vomiting and retching. He takes a shower. He burns all the clothes he was just wearing, which I don't think are the clothes he was wearing when he was making out with Einhorn, but in any case,
No, but
this
anyway,
also gives new meaning. Oh, I think he says to himself, "Your gun is digging into my hip."
right,
So he puts two and two together there as well.
right.
Although I have questions. Guns are made of like metal and plastic. So
Well,
like
back then they were metal mostly because everybody, yeah, they all carried
okay, well, which
revolvers.
which makes the point stronger.
Exactly. Yes.
It should be a different sensation.
I
I'm just
guess
I'm just saying.
uh, uh,
Maybe, that's where your head's at. He's not thinking. But
maybe,
I'm just
or
saying.
yeah, it would. You would think the gun would be a lot more uncomfortable digging into your hip than something else. Yeah.
One would think.
So having carried a gun from time to time inside, in a holster on my waistband. Yeah, sometimes when you sit, it sort of digs into you. It's uncomfortable, but yeah, not like
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly. Exactly. Just saying.
yeah. I
Um,
I get you.
anyways, he follows Einhorn. First of all, chewing an entire packet of gum.
That was the other thing.
That's how I chew gum. I always chew like multiple pieces of gum. I love a huge wad of gum.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I have to like take breaks though, because sometimes it does like make my jaw hurt. But
Uh,
I'm not that much. Not he's chewing like
to
a
do
whole
with the
packet
little
of gum.
chiclets like that.
Yeah, you
When you
got well,
talk.
you can't, there's not enough. You gotta
Yeah.
take a
So
few.
but yeah, like yeah, I don't think yeah, that's in
Like
or
a
the
little
dentine.
a gumball, I'll do too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Or
remember
like,
like the little teeny tiny gum things that
yeah.
used to have, but like bubble gum or whatever, I just do one.
I always do two of like these double bubble
Oh,
things.
okay. The double bubbles.
Yeah. One time I gave one of these to someone at work and they only chewed half. And I was like,
Ooh,
what's wrong? Do you have a small, like the tiniest mouth in the world?
right. Or do you have, like dentures or something? Or
Right. I was like, what's
yeah.
wrong with you? But
Hmm. Hmm.
anyways, Ace is chewing basically like an entire packet of like Big Red.
Gum. Yeah.
Uh and it is comical. He's just like a
Yeah.
cow.
Right.
He follows her and they go to a like old like marina kind of thing where
Hmm.
both Dan Marino and Snowflake are being held. It does make me wonder. I don't know if that's the type of water that Snowflake can be in.
Because it looks like oil. It's like
Right. And it also
black.
looks like it's potentially like fresh water and dolphins live in salt water.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
I'm not
I'm
that
pretty sure.
scientific, so well, yeah, hey,
But
I'll
I mean they
take
live
your
in like
word
the
for it.
ocean.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
and it's full of like oil from like boats and stuff. So it's just like I'm worried about
yeah,
Snowflake's health.
I
Dan
know.
Marino's tied to a pole in like a vest. It's a very 90s outfit.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
vest and like the
Mm,
black.
mm,
That's a very
mm,
90s outfit.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What's funny is Einhorn is trying to like taunt Dan Marino into figuring out who she is, and he can't get it. And he's like, I get hit in the head a lot.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I did write that down. I wrote Dan Marino. I thought I said Dan Marino and Sean Young. Both of them were funny in this.
Yeah. She then kisses him too, which I don't understand why she's like kissing all these
Well,
people.
it's more than that. It's like she's attacking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She
It
attacked
is
Ace,
a
and yeah,
it's like violent.
it's like eating face. That's what we.
That's true. That's true.
At least that's what that's what it came to my mind. It was like
No, that's true. And then my other favorite part, she keeps calling him, she finishes every sentence with Dan. What do you think about
Dan,
that? Dan.
Dan.
How are you feeling? Dan. So silly. Ace gets there. He's like sneaking around. My
This,
favorite bit of this is, yeah, he's doing his like creeping. He
yeah.
gets in a little like raft and has this tiny fan. Like it looks like one of those personal fans that you can bring to like a baseball game or something to keep yourself cool that he uses as a propeller to make this little tiny raft go.
Yeah, it was a good sight gag.
It's so silly looking. Um, He does his Sean Connery impression.
Oh yeah, which also, by the way, which is very good.
Yes, lovely party. Pity I wasn't invited.
It
Which I assume is a Bond line.
it is. I can't remember which one it is, but it's. Is it Goldfinger? I think it's Goldfinger.
I knew you would know better than me. So
yeah.
Anyways, Ace takes out the goons. These are the two guys that kidnapped Dan that are there as kind of the muscle. What's funny is like he hits them with this like big anchor, and it cuts to because the Super Bowl is happening.
Right.
Like it's the day of the
because it's
Super Bowl
going. I
right
was going
now.
to say because we're at Super Bowl
Yeah.
Sunday now, so it's
Yes. So
going
the
on.
Super Bowl is currently happening. So what's funny is he like releases this like anchor to knock these two guys out, and it cuts to like somebody getting hit really hard on the field.
And the sports guys are, whoa, what a hit!
What a hit!
Yeah. Because we don't actually see the two guys getting clobbered, but
it cuts away. You can't have the violence, I guess.
No, we can have. Well, don't. Yeah, we can have other things.
The rest of it. Maybe they didn't want to hire stunt people. That's what I was wondering. I was like, did they just not want to have to like do the stunt?
Yeah, that, or maybe they didn't have the rubber anchor, or the styrofoam anchor.
It was a budget situation.
Yeah, it could be.
So
the special effects guys weren't on top of things.
Yeah. Ace tries to go save Dan. He's like, we're gonna run a play called the quarterback sneak. But not fast enough, because then here comes Einhorn holding them both at gunpoint. And she is also clearly like getting more and more unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
She's losing it. She's smart though. She calls the other detectives and she's like, Ace Ventura is here. I found him. He kidnapped Dan Marino and Snowflake. I need backup.
Right.
Dan Marino and Ace Ventura are both telling her to kill the other one. Like, kill him. No, kill him. Kill him.
Yeah.
Kill him.
Yeah. He's the one that made you miss the field goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's gonna kill the dolphin first, which is sad.
Oh,
she's gonna make them watch.
And then they call each other names, which I thought was funny. He's like, like sports jock or whatever, loser, and
yeah. Then they have the Super Bowls on the TV in this marina. She's of course rigged that so that Dan Marino can like see what he's missing. But then they start talking about the kick that Ray Finkel missed in 1984. Which
around the world.
Yes, she's not happy to hear. She's like, ah, and she shoots the TV. But while she's distracted, Ace like tackles her and gives her a noogie. It knocks the gun away.
It's a good fight though.
It is. Although the tables turned, she started beating the shit out of him.
Well, I don't know if I guess it was a stunt person, but whoever it was, they threw a punch they knew how to throw a punch. So.
Yes. All the other detectives arrive, and she's like, shoot him! Shoot him! But Emilio had also heard the call, and he told Melissa, like, oh, we got to get over there. Like, Ace is in trouble. So they set it up. So Melissa is holding Emilio at gunpoint, and she's like, put your guns down or I'll shoot him. And he's like, she's serious. She's gonna shoot me. Put your guns down. This is when the reveal happens. Ace tells everyone, actually, Einhorn is Finkel, right? He's revealing like his whole, what he's put together. And he's like, because would a real woman have this? And he tries to pull off a wig. It's not a wig. It's just hair. Would a real woman, or like, would a man have these? Opens her shirt. This gets worse and worse.
Yeah, it does.
There are boobs. There are boobs there. Then would a real woman have this? Pulls off her skirt. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing there.
She has underwear on. And
then Dan Marino is behind them and is like, Ace, come here. And points something out. Our friend Ray Finkel / Lois Einhorn is tucked, as the girls would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then all the men starts spitting. So apparently Lois Einhorn has kissed all of them.
All of
I was
them.
like, is that the implication here?
That's what I gathered. Yeah, including Emilio.
Yes. So all the men start spinning and like wiping their tongues. The music from the Crying Game
Yep.
plays, which is
Mhm.
also a movie where someone turns out to be trans and everybody's grossed out by it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Although that was an excellent movie.
I've never seen it. Einhorn, while everyone's doing that, like charges Ace, and he like kind of flips her over into the water and steps on her hand, pulls the ring off, and can see that there is the missing
Stone.
gem.
Yeah.
So, anyways, case closed. It's solved. They're rescued. Great. Everybody goes back to the stadium. Ace Ventura is still in his beater ass car driving Dan Marino
to the Super Bowl.
to the Super Bowl. Although this part is very funny to me because he's still chomping on gum. And Dan Marino's like, "Do you have any more of that gum?" And he says, "That's none of your damn business, and I'll thank you to stay out of my personal affairs." That part cracked me up. I had to rewind it and listen to it again. And then he goes, "You're a weird guy, Ace." I want to start saying that to people, to innocuous questions. "That's none of your damn business, and I'll thank you to stay out of my personal affairs."
That's not bad. Yeah. So, or just have a shirt that says that.
Yeah.
That's none of your damn
Somebody's
business.
like, "Is that your real hair? That's none of your damn business, and I'll thank you to stay out of my personal affairs."
That or just somebody asks you, "What time is it?"
Exactly. That's what I was going to say next.
Business. Yeah.
Anyways, Dan and Snowflake are back in the stadium, and he's going to play the second half. I was like, he doesn't need like a warm up. They don't want to do like a concussion test on him.
It's Dan Marino.
Is the dolphin okay? Can they check out the dolphin? Is there a vet there?
Snowflake's fine.
They got the dolphin back in the tank. They're traumatized.
Snowflake. They were feeding her.
It was in the oily water though.
I know, but where's the smelt? Remember the guy goes, "Where's the smelt?"
Yeah.
One of the crooks or the bad guys.
Yeah. Also, it is funny that for like the first half of the movie, everybody keeps calling it a fish. And they're like, "It's not a fish."
Yeah, it's a mammal.
And Einhorn calls it a porpoise. And Ace Ventura is like, "Oh, how are you going to catch it? You don't even know what animal it is." And then he starts rattling off dolphin facts, including like the scientific name and everything of the bottlenose dolphin.
Versus porpoise, yeah.
So then Ace and Melissa are kissing. But what does he see inside the stadium? But the albino pigeon he's been trying to catch. Although presumably the dolphins should pay him handsomely enough that he can catch up on rent.
I was going to say, you think that he'd get enough to at least get a car and pay the rent?
You saved not only their dolphin, but their starting quarterback in time for him to play in the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl for them, and especially if they win the Super Bowl.
They can run you some coins, I think. They can give you some money.
Exactly. And you solved the murder and yeah.
In any case, he sees the albino pigeon and he's still going for it, and he's almost got it.
It's right there.
But then the Eagles mascot scares it away. And I was like, when I watched this, I was like, of course it's the damn Eagles. He's like, "Oh my God, why'd you do that?" The Eagles mascot, again, typical Eagles, says "blow me."
Ruins it. Yeah, I was gonna say.
I literally wrote typical in my notes. Yeah, of course it's the friggin' Eagles.
Blow me.
Then Ace and the eagle fight. And like the camera cuts as they're like, "Thank you so much for saving Snowflake the dolphin and Dan Marino. It's a hero. Da, 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 da. Ace Ventura." And so the camera cuts to him as he's like wailing on this eagle, and he just like stops and smiles. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Now, did you watch the credits
with the song?
Where he goes, "Okay, Tone, hit it."
Yeah, and then Tone Loc raps over the credits. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I liked. So.
Yes, I listened to the credits. I listened to that because I was reading the credits to get all the football players' names.
Oh, okay. So
I will briefly read
because I wanted to listen to Tone Loc. So
yes, it was very fun. So just so people know, I don't know who all these people are. Obviously, Don Shula, as we discussed, Scott Mitchell, Peter Stoyanovich, Dwight Stevenson, Jeff Uhlenhocker, Jeff Dellenbach, Marco Coleman, Kim Bokanger, sorry, I can't read my handwriting, and Jeff Cross are all the
I
Dolphins
got
in
to
it.
figure you got to be a diehard Dolphins fans to know any of those people.
Yeah.
You know, come on.
I knew who Dan Marino was, and now I know who Don Shula is, but the rest of
Oh,
them,
yeah. Well,
I
you
don't.
should know Don Shula. Well, maybe not. He coached the Colts.
No, well, not when I was watching the Colts.
No, but I'm just saying. But
I know Tony Dungy.
I go back a long ways. I go back
Yeah.
when Vince Lombardi was still alive and not his name wasn't on the trophy. So just saying.
Yeah. I don't.
But
I took interest in football and like Peyton Manning was the quarterback for the Colts. So
so
before that, I don't always know as much. Occasionally, like I won't know who someone is, and my dad's like, "Oh my God," and I'm like, "Well, you
yeah,
were supposed to teach me, so
exactly.
this is
Yeah,
really your
you should.
fault."
Yeah, if it's a legend,
We were
you should.
watching something and like Franco Harris was on it. And at the time, I didn't know who Franco Harris was. He was like, "You don't know who Franco Harris is?" I was like, "How would I know? You didn't tell me."
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me. Now I know who Franco Harris is. I know about the Immaculate Reception. Da da da. Anyways,
but
so that is Ace Ventura. I will say, I think at the time, the sort of like, "Ooh, it's a man pretending to be a woman," was like a gag.
yeah, and especially when they pick someone like Sean Young.
Yeah, someone who's like a very beautiful woman.
Well, and did not it all look like, Ray Finkel. There was no, although I think in the picture, I think it was her with a mustache on.
That makes sense.
Because I stopped it. And
Okay.
I think they dressed her up, made her look like that. So
yeah, I was gonna say because she does have a very like feminine like face and bone structure, but yeah, I think like now that would not happen.
No, they wouldn't and couldn't do it. So
Right.
I don't
And I think for me, and people can say, "Oh, you're like a woke snowflake person," whatever, I don't care. I think the issue with it is that like unfortunately like that is what people who don't like trans people say about trans people. They say that like transgender people are men dressing up as women to do nefarious things, which is exactly what's happening in this movie, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, Ray had to disappear, and so what better way than to, come on, it worked for a long time. Evidently worked his way up to the police department.
Yeah, that was true. I was like, this is really a long game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they said he'd been in the mental institution for 8 years. So this movie took place in 1994, I guess. And 84 was the year. So 10 years. So yeah. So anyway,
so that was a lot. But yeah, I just think that like it if we like lived in a world where like everything was good for trans people, then like whatever. But unfortunately, like this is like exactly the thing. And like obviously it's like it's comical and like over the top and ridiculous here, but it is like this idea that like men are gonna dress as women and they're gonna try to like get you is like exactly what is happening here. So I think that's part of the issue again, as like silly and exaggerated as it is. So I think
that and the reaction to
yes, and everybody being ugh, gross.
Oh yeah, like showering and setting their clothes
everybody
on fire
spitting and like wiping their tongue off and whatnot.
Give it a
it's
rest.
Like, who cares? Also, it's like Sean Young, so like
I know, really.
Whatever.
I know. I was getting ready to say, come on, dude.
You didn't have a problem with it then.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that I think that part of it has not aged well. I was thinking, I was like, is there another way that like without that like could have been funny? And I was like, I wish the Ray Finkel's mom was behind it.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, I was going to say where she had kidnapped Snowflake.
That little old lady popping out with a gun.
That would have been funny.
I would have laughed.
Yeah, that would have been funny. And that Lois Einhorn was just was Lois Einhorn.
And she
and
was like, "What the?"
and maybe mom had kept Ray locked up, because
That's what I was
so
thinking.
Ray wouldn't hurt anybody else, but mom was out to get Dan Marino.
It's sort of like in like Friday the 13th, how the killer the whole time is Jason Voorhees' mom.
Right, right, yeah. Betsy Palmer.
Yeah, sure. Or there was an episode of Law and Order SVU that starred, who are the other women in Charlie's Angels?
Jacqueline Smith.
Jacqueline Smith. Yes, she played this detective who had like investigated this murder
Mm-hmm.
from years ago of this man, but it turns out that she like was with him the whole time. Like she was hiding him in her apartment. He had like dementia or
Oh,
something, and they
oh,
faked the death of someone. Like they put a different like a cadaver basically
oh,
like in a
really?
burned car to fake his death so that like she could be with him because
Ooh.
he like had a wife and like had all these affairs and stuff and like
Oh
all the
gosh.
people were coming after. I think he owed people money and people were coming after him. So she faked his death and she was like had him in her apartment. So I was like, that's where
Ooh.
my mind went
Yeah. It,
here.
it, and if you did it that way, it'd still be funny and it still would
Hmm.
be unexpected.
Yeah.
And even back then, I think, I was thinking back looking at that. I mean, even that was like implausible. It was like, oh, Ray Finkel is, you know, Lois Einhorn. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, it would have been funnier if it would not funnier, but it would. Yeah, it could have worked the other way. Might have worked better. You just would
Yeah.
have had to take out those running gags. That reaction to that.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
then it would have been shock at the little old lady that was in on it. So you could have
Hmm.
reworked it. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, Carrie owned up to it and said that's what he was going for. So
Yeah. He said, this is what I'll say. Um, I knew this movie was going to either be something that people really went for or it was going to ruin me completely. From the beginning of my involvement, I said that the character had to be rock and roll. He had to be the 007 of pet detectives. I wanted to
okay,
be unstoppably ridiculous, and they let me go wild. I wanted to keep the action unreal and over the top. When it came time to do my reaction to kissing a man, I wanted it to be the biggest, most obnoxious homophobic reaction ever recorded. It's so ridiculous it can't be taken seriously, even though it guarantees that somebody's going to be offended.
okay,
So, I mean, I think, you know, he saw it for what it was. But yeah, I think that part it just like like we said, I think that there's ways to have wrapped it up in ways that were still funny, but like and
yeah,
unexpected, but different. Although like my brain, like I get like little brain worms stuck in my head, like little phrases sometimes.
yeah.
And Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel, like just replays in my brain a little bit, just because I think I don't know the way the names sound. Maybe Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Just like gets stuck in my head.
Well, that bit was funny where he kept,
Mhm.
trying to figure it out, and he was like you said, it was driving himself crazy, and then the monkey was,
He's
like
like
you're,
pacing and beating
yeah,
his head and
and
stuff.
just doing the same sort of thing, but it was like, and finally the monkey was asleep or passed out or wherever. He goes, quitter, like the monkey couldn't keep up with him. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Or even if Einhorn had been like his like secret like sister or something, you know what I mean? Like I don't
oh,
know.
that would have been good too. Yeah. See, so yeah, yeah,
They're
it could have been done. Yeah.
yeah. I want Alice Drummond. I want more
Or
of
what
Alice
what if it had been
Drummond.
the other way around, that Ray Finkel was actually a woman,
Hmm. The whole time.
and Einhorn, Lois, it was the real person was Lois Einhorn, but wanted to be was a great soccer player or kicker or whatever, and wanted it couldn't get on a team
Yeah.
because of the
She's
you
like
know
Icebox. She's like it's like she's the man.
yeah, exactly, yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, see, there are other ways to go about it.
yeah,
But, I think that like I said, there is still a lot of it that is really funny to me. I think Jim Carrey's
oh yeah,
delivery and like some of these lines crack me up
they
that
are.
he can just like say these things and not like burst out laughing is a skill.
Well, and I guess maybe they rehearsed it so many times, because I don't know how the other actors wouldn't break out laughing,
Mhm.
bust out laughing when he was doing some of that stuff. Because I mean,
How did
It,
Dan Marino's not an actor? How did he hold it together?
the only thing I can figure is that they just did it maybe so many
I
times
know.
that he just
We
got
got the
used
take
to
where
it.
he wasn't. We got the one
Yeah,
take where he
exactly.
wasn't.
Yeah, the one time in 30 that he didn't break out laughing. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they talk about other movies where actors crack each other up, and that they have
Hmm.
to cut it together or whatever, because the reactions are just sometimes the people just can't contain themselves.
Yeah.
But
I
I thought it was I forgot how fun
hmm
and how goofy he was, back
so
then.
goofy.
Because
Hmm.
you don't see a lot of them these days, as far as like
Yeah.
doing
Now he's
stuff.
doing like I feel like he's in the Sonic movies.
Right? He did,
He's Dr. Robotnik.
yeah.
But that I think is like his most recent. I feel like he hasn't been
Because
done
he
too
did Disney,
much.
he did the Grinch, and then he did Christmas Carol, where he played Scrooge.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
didn't, he did the voice, and then they patterned
Yeah, it was the like
the
CGI-ish
CGI
one.
version of it. So, but yeah, but I mean, yeah, like back then he was in, like I said, he every time you looked, he was in a movie in the theater, and he was funny. He was genuinely funny. I
Hmm.
think he still is, but he's older now, and maybe he feels like he needs to do something else. But
Yeah.
and very talented.
Hmm.
Um, like you said, in the Truman Show, he shows a lot more serious side, and maybe more depth, and yeah,
And
I think
Eternal Sunshine, I think too. He was like
oh yeah,
he was
oh that
nominated
was.
for like a Golden Globe for that one.
Mhm. And that was a very, very dark movie, very serious movie. And then
Hmm.
he portrayed, and when he played, like you said, when he played Andy Kaufman, who evidently had some serious issues as well, some stuff going on, but who was also a very brilliant.
Yeah. I
I'm
did
glad you
want
picked it. So the movie, so it
yeah,
was.
good. I wanted to touch on also, I was reading about the casting of
Hmm.
Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
So it was like a script that existed that people had.
Oh, okay.
They approached Rick Moranis,
To
who
be Ace
declined
Ventura.
to be Ace Ventura.
Hmm. That
He
would have been an
declined.
interesting take on.
It would have been a very different take.
Yeah, very much so.
He would have been like a little nerdy guy.
Yeah.
Other people they considered, and this is all over the map, let me tell you.
Okay.
Judd Nelson,
Oh, okay. I don't see that.
Alan Rickman.
That would have been good.
That would have been a drama. Although I guess
I,
he's in like Dogma and stuff, so I don't know.
yeah,
It would have
I
been a
like
very different vibe
it
though.
would have been, but I'd like to see what he would have done with it.
I know. They considered changing the character to a woman and having Whoopi Goldberg do it.
I knew you were going to say Whoopi Goldberg, because this is a time when she was in a lot of movies, and then she was hot property,
Yes, she
from
was
Ghost and stuff, and
sister
then
acting all over the place.
exactly. So anyway,
Um,
so anybody else did they
David
consider?
Allen Greer, and he declined.
And who was also on In
Also on
Living
In Living
Color?
Color.
Yeah.
So that is, and I think that's where their mind went because they saw him on In Living Color.
I'm sure.
And then he helped rewrite and, like I said, and improvised a lot too. So they kind
Well,
of
I could
made
see
I
that
think he helped tailor it to
to his style.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Because
I wonder if that's sort of when they asked David Allen Greer and he said no, they're like, let's look who else is here.
yeah. Well, you kind of wonder though, why didn't they go to Damon Wayans, or
Yeah,
or
that's a good question.
because they were doing
They
movies
were,
that
and yeah,
they were doing, that was, I mean, there was a lot of talented people on that
yeah.
show.
But the Wayans brothers also had kind of their own
Right, their own
thing.
little thing they were doing and stuff. Yeah. So the Last Boy Scout, when
I
that
was gonna say like Blank Man and Major Pain, but okay.
Blank Man was good. But
But David Allen Greer's in that too, right? He's
I
in that
think
with
so.
it's
Yeah.
him and Damon
Mm-hmm.
Wayans.
Mm-hmm. But
I loved Major Pain when I was a kid.
did you?
Hmm.
It is funny. So
But yeah, I think this movie is like ridiculous and over the top. Ace Ventura, I think that's something I like too about Jim Carrey, that he's very over the top in like a lot of these movies.
mm-hmm.
But like Ace Ventura is like distinct from Stanley Ipkiss slash The Mask, is very distinct from I can't think of his Fletcher or whatever in Liar
Liar,
Liar
the
is
lawyer.
distinct from Lloyd Christmas in
Oh,
Dumb and Dumber, right? That he can
it's
be like very over the top in all of them, but in like a totally different
different way.
way.
Because in this one, Ace is smart.
Mm-hmm.
He is smart. He's figured out all this stuff, but his delivery. But in Dumb and Dumber,
Lloyd Christmas is an idiot.
he is.
Hence the title.
Yeah, but he also comes across as somebody though that you would sit there and go like, it's not somebody you dismiss right away.
Right. And he also comes across as more like sweet and kind
Right.
than Ace Ventura does.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Ace is, like you said, he could be obnoxious and annoying. So,
Yeah.
but what he does well.
Yeah.
He does have that talent. So,
Yeah. And then you have like in Liar Liar, he's obviously smart because he's a lawyer
right.
and he's more normal, but he's also like a little bit of an asshole because he's like sort of a careerist.
Mm-hmm. He
My
tells
job
lies for a
is
living.
exactly, he tells lies for a living. His job is the most important. He lies to his kid
Yeah.
to the point that his kid has to make a magical wish that he can't tell lies. And then in The Mask, he's like two different characters because he's like the sort of shy person. And then The Mask is a completely different, over the top.
It's like everything that he couldn't be.
Exactly.
Yeah, and allows him to express that. So
Yeah. So I think that, and I think too, I haven't watched a ton of In Living Color, but even like his characters in Living Color, right? Everything's over the top, but distinct.
Fireman Bill,
which I think is like, I think probably is a skill that he would have developed on In Living Color.
I watched every episode of that. I thought that show was brilliant. It really did. It was really from the very beginning. It's it was a must see TV for me.
So. I feel like I was watching something about it recently because didn't they have? There was a year that like during the Super Bowl halftime show, they played In Living Color, like they were there.
But like Jim Carrey's characters, I can remember. David Allen Greer's characters, I can remember. I can remember when they did the movie reviews.
Yes, the two snaps in Z formation.
Exactly.
Yes, there was an In Living Color halftime show.
Was there? So, and then Homie the Clown.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Homie don't play that game.
In 1992, Fox decided to air a live episode of In Living Color, its hit comedy sketch show starring Jim Carrey and the Wayans brothers, among others, to compete with halftime programming on CBS, which was airing the game. So,
okay. So
it wasn't.
Now
I remember. Because the Super Bowl halftime show was not as big of a thing. Until this happened, and this In Living Color drew viewers away from the network airing the game. So then the next year, who did the Super Bowl halftime show but Michael Jackson?
I was going to say, because I think before then it was just like, it was like a regular band or it was like a marching band.
Yeah, it was like a high school halftime show. Yeah. That I remember hearing about this, and that now I remember. Yeah. Okay, now I'm putting it together. But yeah, so there was a year that like the Super Bowl was not on Fox, but Fox decided during the halftime show, we're going to air a live episode of In Living Color. And so many people switched over to watch that like CBS was like, oh, we got to step it up. Show. Yeah. And that's kind of what made the halftime show the sort of spectacle that it is now.
It was traditional for the longest time.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, I was going to say, I think it was probably when Michael Jackson did the first big, what they call superstar show. And then, they kept trying to, just do after that. So,
yeah. And now they just keep trying to up it. But yeah, so In Living Color, definitely. I need to catch up on that because obviously it launched the careers of lots of people. We even got Fly Girl J-Lo.
Exactly. Well, and
oh yes, Carrie Ann
Inaba was a Fly Girl.
Fly Girl. Yes.
J-Lo and Carrie Ann.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So well, fun movie, and it blends two of your football and comedy.
Football and comedy, yeah, two things I was raised watching. But yeah, like I said, I think there are parts of it, like Jim Carrey remains like very funny, one of the funniest people ever to me. His lines, his delivery here, his over the topness, still very funny. Again, I I'm not into the whole like, oh my God, this woman is a man, gross. Like that is not for me in 2024.
No,
You
you're
know,
right. That part doesn't age well.
yeah.
So,
So, and like we said, I think there are ways they could have done it differently. I think if they did it now, they would do it differently.
oh, I'm sure, and they could still make it funny
Exactly. I think
and
that
still
there's
relevant.
exactly. So, but that's Ace Ventura Pet Detective. What a concept. um, and you know, we get some cameos from real football players. We get some great other people. You get Courtney Cox, you get Sean Young, you get Tone Loc, you get Frank from ER, you get
Now, was this pre-Friends, or was
I,
this the beginning of Friends?
it's very close because I think Friends started
Let me
in
look.
like 94, 95.
5. So this was probably, let's see,
It premiered September 94.
94. So it was
So
right
this,
around the same
yeah,
time.
let me see. Release date February. So this was, I guess she had like started filming Friends already when this
Friends.
came out. But
So
so
this is
this,
interesting.
what a year. What a year for Courtney Cox. She
Yeah.
went back to back with Ace Ventura and then Friends. And then a
And
couple years later, she has, I think the first Scream movie is like 1997.
7. So, and then went on to Cougar Town and other things. But,
And like 7 more Scream movies.
and, and you remember where she got her start, though, with her first.
She was in a Bruce Springsteen video.
Exactly. Yeah. Dancing in the Dark.
Dancing in the Dark. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I remember like
holds
I
her up
could
on
picture her.
stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they
And she
dance
looked like
like
she was like 12 years
they dance
old.
like
Yeah,
how
exactly.
this is how my mom used to dance. Like whenever she like dances to 80s music.
Oh, okay.
That's how they dance. So but yeah, so I think we've
Good
covered
choice.
all things Ace
Yeah.
Ventura. I think, like I said, it's one that like lines of this like in my brain, if I'm calling someone a loser, I can't just call them a loser. It's a loser. Like all of that. Alrighty then.
Alrighty then. Yeah, that I was gonna say that's the
All of those are like
yeah, they're
just pop up.
iconic. So
Yeah,
from
they're
that.
in like the mental Rolodex forever.
And the bit in the bathroom, that's a classic.
Yeah.
You know, when he
The
comes out,
do not go in
go
there.
in there. So yeah,
That and the yelling with the sliding glass door like every time.
oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that till you mentioned that. Man, when I saw it in the movie, I thought, oh, now I remember. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, we had a sliding glass door at the time that this movie came out. So I think
did you do it?
Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
okay, of course. Okay, all right. So
Yeah. When I was a kid, we had a sliding glass door. So this was
excellent. So
perfect. So
all righty.
well,
All righty then.
alrighty then.
Yeah, there you go. That's better.
Thank you all for listening once again. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can leave us a rating, review, comment, especially something nice, please. You can also follow us on Instagram at Some of Our Parts Pod. You can check out all the other movies that we've talked about. There's quite a variety so far. You can also get little clues of what's coming next and various other things that we think of to put on there. Until next time, bye-bye.
Take care.